Guys, we've got more leaked footage coming out of the Battle of Bakhmut. This time it's helmet cam footage from a Ukrainian Foreign Legion team. These guys are really good, and we're going to be breaking down where I think they are and why I think this is probably one of the most highly trained Ukrainian Foreign Legion teams we've seen. Let's get into it. So let's start here 1 second. First off, to the YouTube censors, I know they're shooting, but this is educational and nobody gets hurt in this video. So what we can see, first off, look at the formation these guys are in. They are in a line, like a staggered line. So here's one troop, here's another one, right? You've got the viewer himself. They're in this zigzag. And the reason this is so effective is that there's no line that you can establish, right? There's no line of fire that's going to let you put rounds into the entire formation, right? Imagine if you were walking like single file, right? Really tight. Yes, from the side, you would only be able to shoot one person at a time. But if you somehow had a machine gun position, say to your front, you would shoot the first person, and that every person in that formation is going to be in the field of fire. So this says that everyone here has at least a basic level of knowledge and discipline on how to move. And you also notice his head is on a swivel, right? So he knows that looking forward, but he's also continuously looking to the side. And this is what all of these soldiers are going to be doing. They're always keeping their head on a swivel, looking around, making sure they're in the right place in their formation and that they're watching out for any enemy. Okay, it says the men were on their way to find a trench system. Now, when we look at, we'll give a little context, right? From the operator who sent this with us, he said it took place in northeast Bakhmut, black team of their Ukrainian Foreign Legion. They said they got sent on an op to push back the Russian line, and so the Ukrainians could go back in and take it. We had to find a trench system with what we were told were 5 to 10 Russian troops, and we also knew roughly, but didn't know the exact position. So we patrolled up the road, which we knew it was near, and the point man looked to see if he could see anything, and we got contacted. The point said he saw roughly 20 to 30 guys in a heavily fortified trench system, and they had a T-90 tank as backup, so we had to retreat. So that's some context here, right, which I think is pretty important. Okay, there we go. So here's something else, right? They patrolled up the road, sure, but look, they're not on the road. Again, the road is such a high-risk area that it's not really where you want to be if you feel like there's a high likelihood of enemy contact. So where do we think this is taking place? Well, let's walk a little bit. You guys can see they're continually moving along. You can also see this guy's kind of moving from cover to cover, right? Just slowly. Right, he's keeping his head on a swivel. So just after the point man looked to see if he could see anything, they got into heavy contact with the Russian element. Did you see that? Did you notice the point man saw something? Saw the fortification? This guy was signaling to others to get down because they realized there was an enemy that was probably fairly close by. So you could see, let's watch their response to this unexpected contact. Okay, watch this. 0 verbal commands have been given, but they have gotten down behind cover and they are returning fire in the general direction of the enemy. This is the sign of a well-trained unit. This is the autopilot response. When you train and you've drilled enough, you don't need commands like contact front. You know, once the shooting starts, you shoot back first thing right away. Okay, now look, these other guys are maneuvering. They're getting into improved covered positions. But do you notice how that this is why these sort of systems are so good, is because, look, your instinct is pretty simple. Like we talked about, get behind cover or get down, return fire. But what has he incidentally done, right? That's the individual action. What does it enable the team to do? Well, look, some of those guys can't get behind cover. So by doing this, he's automatically providing covering fire for them, right? They don't need to say covering fire, I got you covered. Like sometimes you do that, but in this instance, the instinctive response is an enabler to enable his friendlies to get out of the most dangerous position. See, now they're behind cover, and now they're able to return fire. He's looking back to his buddies. This is also a sign of a well-trained guy. He's looking to his other soldiers, right? He's returning fire, and he's maintaining a situational awareness, because when you have the adrenaline rush of combat, right, what often happens is you get tunnel vision. And this is true of actually any adrenaline-inducing situation. Now, you actually get them. I would get them also in MMA fights, where your world compresses down and you become really fixated and focused on things. And it's a problem because it impedes your creativity. And you're like, creativity in a war zone? Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes when you have a problem, right? Like, let's say, for example, there were obstacles preventing this unit from retreating. And when you get tunnel vision, you might say, shit, we got to climb over this obstacle. But if you can expand your thinking a little bit, you can say, hey, we don't have to climb back over the obstacle. We can egress another route, or we can actually flank them, or, we have other options that we don't think about. We can call artillery. But when your adrenaline surges, your cognition, right, you're evolved to focus on the threat in front of you. Because if you can't deal with the threat in front of you, the larger situation doesn't matter. But that's a survival instinct that we evolved when we were cavemen. Now, of course, we know that the best way to navigate these complex situations where the risk is high is through keeping our wits about us. And so you can see his experience. He is doing that. Yeah. See his buddies moving back to cover.
Hey, what? Let's go.
He's trying to tell his buddies, hey, we've got to go. But you notice he's not breaking contact until they've broken contact. There is nothing. One of my biggest fears as a leader when I was in Afghanistan was that I would leave a soldier behind. And that's why you count your people as they leave on patrol. You count them back when they come back, so you know, hey, you left with 16, you're back with 16. You ask your teams, hey, your team leads, hey, are we up? You ask your squad leaders ask their 3 team leaders each know, hey, person A, person B in my team, yeah, we're up, right? All of those things are essential. You always do them before you leave anywhere. And it's because if everybody starts thinking for themselves, and let's say he was to retreat, right? But you can see actually there might be another person even further up. Let's see if we can find it here. Look up here. I think there's a point man who might still be up there.
Hey, they're over there! Hey, over there!
See, okay, so this is another thing that's pretty common, is giving it distance and direction. That's going to improve the accuracy of your suppressive fire, because while suppressive fire doesn't need to hit, it needs to be a credible threat. And so the closer you can get to identifying the location of your enemy, the more dangerous your suppressive fire is going to be. The more credible is a better way to put it.
Hey,
there he is. See, that's why these guys didn't go anywhere. They knew that somebody was out even further on point, right? This guy was the one who probably got spotted by the Russians. He probably went out to this road, looked down, saw the fortification, and you can see this dude is, you can see he's yelling 11 o'clock. Ooh, that was a close one. Looks like somebody's prepping an NLAW. You can see he's communicating simple information repeatedly. This is how it has to be, right? In the thick of combat, you just can't give really complicated orders.
Hey, let's go! Let's fuck out! Let's fuck out! They're over there! They're over there!
He was trying to tell his NLAW gunner, that's funny, trying to tell the NLAW gunner, hey, that's not where they are, right? But the NLAW gunner just popped off his NLAW in sort of the wrong direction. But again, is it the wrong direction? Because it depends on what suppression level you want to achieve. Even just a big boom, right, of an NLAW, if the Russians all go, oh, shit, right? And that's bought them the time, even if they go oh, shit, for just a second, maybe that's bought them the time for him to boogie out of there, or for his point man to get back behind cover. So again, just this is what you have to understand about suppressive fire and volume of fire. And it sounds preposterous to be like, oh, accuracy is secondary, but it kind of can be. That's why there's a lot of edgelords who are like, they never look down their sights. Bro, it's suppressive fire, man.
Keep going, go.
You notice now these guys are running, but these other forces are set and are the other firing element. This is just a testament to how well trained these guys are. This is just automatic for them, right? Here's this dude. I think he's gotten down. You can see he's in the prone. This is another perfectly acceptable response, and he's returning fire from behind cover.
Good.
Yep, and he sees that, hey, my buddy, he just hit the floor, right? It's not clear. He says, hey, are you good? Guy's like, yep, I'm good. I just, got to the prone position. Again, a completely reasonable response.
They're over there! 11 o'clock!
I can't tell if that dude just had an accidental discharge, like right into the ground. I don't know. Yep, and you can see he's taking the same position, getting down low. This is just good training. I want to take a sec in the middle of this firefight and just look at where I think this is taking place. So they said in the northeast corner of Bakhmut. So here is Bakhmut, right? And it's possible that this represents probably the northeast region of Bakhmut, right? Up here is a different village, Krasnohora, right? You get further up, you're in Soledar. Soledar. So I think that it's probably in this region. Pidhorodne, or this area here. So my best guess is probably that this may have taken place right here, or even potentially, because right here's a major roadway, and you can see they're approaching it. It seems like this is within the range of where you would expect the Russians to possibly be set. Could also be this roadway here. This seems much smaller, but you could see it would make sense that they would approach from this angle, right? See a Russian fortification. I really suspect this is the road. This is the wood line that they were maneuvering through. And that the Russians they encountered were somewhere on this, like, maybe this area here. But I could be wrong because, again, it sort of looks like here's the road and then there's more trees on the other side. So I think I may have it wrong. When we look at the satellite photos, right, outside of Bakhmut, you guys can see that, again, there's like a lot of crisscrossing. These aren't great sat photos, but yeah, I'm still sort of inclined to say that it's maybe this road. It could also be here, right? This could be filmed a couple days ago, recently uploaded. This looks like lighter wood lines, and you can see here that here's the road, but it appears that on either side of the road are some trees. So it may look like there's denser tree cover. that would be this here, right? Even though it's listed as being like a field, maybe it's possible that now it's actually a wooded area, but I kind of doubt it. This is still my leading candidate. I guess this would also be possible, but it's still a little tough to see. But you can see that again, this is like, tactically, it makes a lot of sense why this ambush happened where it did, because they went from cover to an open field of fire, right? They were exposed. Also, I just want to point out, guys, if you've been with me this long, there's an excellent chance this is demonetized. But if you want the non-demonetized videos, they're on the Patreon. Link is in the description. These dudes are getting out of here. I think some of that smoke that we're seeing, I think it's just because it's cold. I think it's cold, and these guys are breathing heavy. And I think that's probably what we're seeing. I think it's just the angle of the helmet can that makes it look like the firearm is discharging. Okay, I want to point out another thing. These guys, even the ones who are moving positions, they're not panicking. They're not leaving their shit behind. They're getting their gear back up, right? The grenadier puts his grenade launcher on, you know, and it's the old saying, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. And that is how you have to maneuver in combat, right? What you don't want to do is become spastic, because what is more dangerous? Think about it logically. You're behind a tree. You get up, you expose yourself, you run to the other tree, you realize you left your grenade launcher, you get back up, you run to the other tree, then you get your grenade launcher, then you run back again, right? Not only that, but your battle buddies had to provide suppressive fire that entire time. And you end up, you also, you know, in contrast, right, the other way is you stay behind cover, your battle buddies are suppressing, you put your gear on, right, you get your weapon, you check yourself to make sure you haven't dropped anything important like your radio, and then you get up and you move, and then you set, and now you provide cover for your buddy. So while it may look like they were properly equipped to deal with the situation due to the large number of anti-tank weapons, the decision to fall back was definitely the right one. Yeah, guys, here's the rule, right? And this is the rule of thumb. They were told 5 to 10 Russians. So if you want to take out at most 10 Russians, 10 enemy soldiers in a prepared defensive position, you actually need to show up with about 30 soldiers of your own. And that's because obviously when you've prepared a defensive position, those 10 soldiers can really put up a strong fight because they're very hard to eject from that position. So if you show up with 30 soldiers and you encounter 30 soldiers in a good defensive position with a tank backing them up, you are at such a tremendous disadvantage that there's no reason, especially when you have now the location of them, right? So if nothing else, you can call in artillery, you can call in an airstrike if the T-90 is that valuable a target. You can even have drone operators harass them with drone dropped grenades until they vacate the position. There's so many other tools in your toolkit, and this is what good command looks like at a operational level. Is commanders sit there and go, yes, maybe it's possible that we have these anti-tank weapons and we have these other grenades, and maybe it's even possible that this unit could successfully take this position. But why would you make a good ground unit take needless casualties when you could achieve the same effect with artillery? They have the location dead set, dead to rights. So why not let the right tool be used for this job? And the right tool in this case is not light infantry ground assault.
Mate, say, you see where I'm on this? Ah, you bastard. Straight in, like, over there, but there's bushes, mate. You ain't gonna be able to do it.
You can see, even though he is incredibly collected and calm, or seems, you can still see by his voice that his adrenaline is just through the roof, right? As it should be, man. This is an intense situation. So you guys just have to understand, man. There's not really a comparison. Like, nothing in my life has come close to the experience of being in a firefight. Like, it just isn't. I can't explain it other than that. Oh, damn, let's see that one again. Oh, that was him being dumb. Okay, that was an accidental discharge. This dude may not be so okay, I'm gonna offer two theories. Theory one is that this guy does not have that much combat experience. Sorry, military experience. Militaries generally are pretty strict. The other theory that I'm gonna put out is that these guys are carrying scars. Let's say he has military experience, but with an Eastern Bloc country that uses an AK style rifle. Literally, they have a totally different safety mechanism. And so as a Westerner, right, I understand that my safety is operated with my thumb, and in my case, the same thumb that's on the trigger. And so I just have it instilled in me. Raise the weapon, trigger off, engage targets, safety on, lower the weapon. Right? If I was trained to a NATO standard, well, then I would probably, or I was trained to a Eastern Bloc country that uses an AK style system. I would be trained to pop the safety with my second hand, with my foregrip hand. And so maybe this guy is trained, because he did get down behind that tree, right? And he did engage the targets at the appropriate distance and direction. It's possible that he just got issued a new rifle fairly recently and is just really not as proficient as someone who is using a weapon that they've been trained with from the start. That's the generous thesis here.
Hey, Josh!
Somebody just popped. Okay, there's somebody popping that AT-4. Heavy use of AT launchers made sense in that situation, since it signaled that they were capable to counter armored vehicles, and firing the rockets effectively decreased the weight they had to carry. That's an interesting point. I don't even think about that. But remember, these guys are carrying probably 50 pounds of gear at least. Yeah, and it's true. If an AT, if you're the T90 operator, you are not going to want to expose yourself if you know that they have effective anti-armor weapons. Plus, again, just a big boom and an explosion is going to be good cover, because again, even if all the Russians, especially if they're recently mobilized Russians, they're all going to see a big flash and a big boom kind of near them, and they're going to go from engaging the targets to going, oh shit. Like, it's going to buy you a couple extra seconds, which is the difference. If they had one of your buddies in their sights, and then suddenly they go like this, and then they got to find them, and maybe if you're lucky, they've already withdrawn. They're already gone. So it's absolutely the right call to discharge those AT-4s.
Greg! Hey, come on! Who's that there? You gotta get back.
are really popping off all their anti-armor, though. This is just wild, though. But this is, when I talk about like volume of fire and suppression, this is what that sounds like. This is what the race to get to fire superiority sounds and feels like. And they're doing a great job by just raising the stakes. Oh, these guys are using small arms and AKs. Fine. We are going to ratchet it up with all that, plus our grenade launchers, plus our NLAWs, plus our AT4s. We are going to do everything we can to achieve fire superiority. And you can see these guys are taking a lot of fire and they're still putting rounds out downrange. It's the sign of a good unit. It's the sign of a great unit. All right, that was wild stuff. Again, guys, I hope you enjoyed it, but more importantly, there's almost no chance this is going to be monetized if we're honest with ourselves. YouTube, again, I think it complies with their policy. Other videos like this have complied with YouTube's policy, but ultimately, the only way to ensure that I can continue to make these videos is to come over onto the Patreon. Patreon is where I do all the viral combat videos that are like this or even more intense than this. The link is in the description. Thank you so much to my lieutenant tier patrons, and thanks to all you guys for supporting me. I'll see you in the next one.